Since ancient times, humanity has sought answers about its origin, purpose, and destiny. The story of Adam and Eve is one of the oldest and most enigmatic narratives passed down through generations. However, beyond the familiar biblical account, there exists a lost book, a hidden manuscript, that reveals terrifying secrets about what truly happened after their expulsion from Eden. This lost book, often referred to as the first and second book of Adam and Eve, or the Apocalypse of Moses, is an ancient Gnostic text excluded from the official Bible and relegated to apocryphal status. It offers a very different version of events, delving into the spiritual struggles Adam and Eve faced after leaving paradise, their encounters with celestial and demonic beings, and the profound sorrow of being cast out of God's presence. According to this text, Adam and Eve were not only physically expelled but became targets of Satan's relentless pursuit. Satan, described as a real being rather than a mere symbol of evil, sought to deceive and torment them, attempting to lure them back into sin or even persuade them to end their lives, promising that death would restore them to Eden. The punishment humanity suffered was not just mortality or hard labor, but a spiritual isolation, disconnection from divine light, and constant attacks from dark forces aiming to keep humanity trapped in ignorance. The Garden of Eden was described not merely as a physical location, but as a higher realm, a vibrational plane of harmony. The expulsion was thus a dimensional exile, from a place of divine light into a shadowed, deceptive reality. Before the fall, Adam and Eve were luminous, immortal, and directly connected to God, but after eating the forbidden fruit, their essence became dense and their light dimmed. This shift plunged them into a lower state of existence, cut off from divine wisdom. This lost book also suggests that our world is essentially a prison for the soul. Humanity lives in a controlled simulation where souls reincarnate repeatedly without memory of their divine origin. Satan and his legions act as jailers in this spiritual matrix, manipulating reality to prevent humans from awakening. This view echoes many esoteric traditions like samsara, the endless cycle of rebirth, and teaches that only through awakening can one escape this prison. But redemption is possible. God promised Adam and Eve that he would send a redeeming light to free humanity from this material prison. However, this redemption requires preparation of the consciousness. The lost book portrays the struggle of Adam and Eve as ongoing, extending to all humanity. Darkness continues to use fear, doubt, and despair as tools of control, while distraction and ignorance serve as invisible chains. Every choice we make aligns us with either light or darkness. Ancient texts describe methods for reconnecting with divine light: prayer, meditation, purification, and sacred knowledge. These are not mere rituals, but energetic practices to raise our vibration and awareness. Prayer is described as an authentic communication channel with the divine, not an empty routine. Meditation and inner stillness are gateways to hidden knowledge, allowing us to rise above the material world's distractions. Adam and Eve are said to have engaged in fasting and deep prayer to reclaim their lost connection. Purification of body and mind is essential. The text hints that after the fall, Adam and Eve began consuming denser foods that further distanced them from their original divine state. Many traditions agree that bodily purity enhances spiritual perception. Reducing processed foods, eating living foods, and conscious fasting can raise one's vibrational frequency. Sacred knowledge is another key. Ignorance is darkness's greatest ally, so acquiring wisdom is itself an act of liberation. Ancient texts, sacred symbolism, and dream interpretation provide hidden keys to understanding our true nature and breaking free from deception. The most surprising message in the Lost Book is that Eden was never destroyed but still exists, only accessible by reaching a higher vibrational state. Returning to paradise, then, is not a physical journey, but a state of consciousness we must ascend to. This reframes our understanding of redemption. It's not about awaiting a future salvation, but reclaiming our divinity here and now. The Lost Book encourages us to apply these spiritual truths practically. Clearing mental distortions such as fear and negativity, practicing daily meditation, and fostering gratitude and compassion can realign us with the original light. Letting go of the fear of death and understanding it as a return home for the awakened soul is a profound liberation. Ultimately, the book reveals that exile from Eden is not eternal condemnation, but an opportunity to remember and evolve. Every thought and action brings us closer or farther from awakening. Conscious living means seeing beyond appearances, questioning what we've been taught, and seeking deeper truth. This ancient manuscript warns that our history has been manipulated and truth hidden, but revelation is available to those who seek sincerely. The Lost Book of Adam and Eve is not just a story of fall and punishment, but a guide to reclaiming our divine origin and spiritual sovereignty. The implications of the Lost Book of Adam and Eve go far beyond mere historical curiosity. It challenges the very foundation of how we perceive our existence, our spiritual journey, and the nature of reality itself. If we accept that humanity's exile from Eden was not simply a physical punishment, but a dimensional and spiritual separation, then everything changes. Life ceases to be a random series of events and instead becomes a purposeful quest to awaken and return to our original divine state. This idea suggests that every individual carries within themselves a fragment of the original light, the divine spark, that was once fully connected to God. However, this spark is often obscured by layers of fear, ignorance, and attachment to the material world. The key to liberation lies in peeling back these layers through spiritual practice, self-awareness, and an earnest search for truth. One of the most profound challenges humanity faces is the pervasive distraction of modern life. In the constant noise of technology, consumerism, and superficial pursuits, it is easy to lose sight of this inner light. The Lost Book of Adam and Eve reminds us that this distraction is no accident. It is part of the spiritual prison designed to keep us asleep. The dark forces, personified by Satan in the text, seek to keep us chasing illusions and trapped in cycles of suffering. Yet, the text also offers hope. It suggests that divine grace has never been withdrawn from humanity. Throughout history, fragments of this sacred knowledge have survived, hidden in apocryphal texts, mystical traditions, and oral teachings. These remnants serve as signposts for those willing to look beyond the surface. The path to awakening is not easy. It requires courage to face uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the world. It demands discipline to maintain practices like meditation, prayer, and purification in a world that constantly pulls us toward distraction. But the rewards are immense. A deeper connection with the divine, a sense of purpose, inner peace, and ultimately freedom from the cycle of reincarnation and suffering. One vital teaching from the Lost Book is that redemption is not a gift that passively arrives. It is something we must actively participate in. God's promise to send a Redeemer, symbolized in many traditions by Christ or other enlightened figures, is contingent upon humanity's readiness. This readiness comes from purifying the heart and mind and awakening the latent divine potential within. In this sense, the story of Adam and Eve is not just about fall and punishment, but about human potential and the possibility of reclaiming paradise. It reframes the biblical narrative into one of spiritual initiation, a journey from ignorance to enlightenment, from bondage to freedom. Furthermore, the Lost Book highlights the importance of knowledge and wisdom. Ignorance is portrayed not as innocent innocence, but as a state that feeds darkness and keeps the soul captive. The quest for sacred knowledge is thus a sacred duty. Studying ancient texts, learning symbolism, and interpreting dreams become tools for liberation rather than mere academic exercises. Dreams, for example, are described as messages from the soul or the divine. Keeping a dream journal and paying attention to recurring symbols can reveal hidden truths about our inner state and guide us on our path. Similarly, sacred symbols embedded in art, architecture, and religious rituals encode spiritual principles meant to awaken the initiate. The book also emphasizes the power of vibration and frequency. It suggests that Eden exists as a high vibrational state, and that by raising our own vibration through purity, prayer, and love, we can align ourselves with this realm. This view resonates with modern spiritual teachings that link consciousness with energy and frequency. In practice, cultivating gratitude and compassion are powerful ways to elevate our vibration. Gratitude opens the heart and shifts our focus from lack to abundance, while compassion connects us with the divine spark in others. Acts of kindness and love leave energetic imprints that ripple outward, helping to dissolve the darkness that surrounds us. Letting go of the fear of death is another transformative teaching. The Lost Book explains that death is not an end but a transition, a return to the home of light for those who have awakened. This perspective can radically change how we live, freeing us from anxiety and allowing us to embrace life fully and courageously. It is important to remember that the spiritual battle described in the text is not external but internal. The forces of darkness represent fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs within us. The enemy lies not in the world outside, but in the shadow aspects of our own consciousness. Recognizing this empowers us to take responsibility for our healing and growth. The Lost Book of Adam and Eve invites us to become spiritual warriors, brave souls who face their inner darkness, reclaim their light, and help others do the same. This mission is urgent, as the collective awakening of humanity will determine the future of our planet and the spiritual evolution of life itself. Despite the gravity of these teachings, the text also conveys a message of profound hope and love. It assures us that the divine is always near, ready to guide and support those who seek sincerely. The journey back to Eden is not a solitary path, but one walked with divine assistance and the companionship of awakened souls. As modern seekers, we can draw inspiration from this lost book by integrating its wisdom into our daily lives. We can start by cultivating stillness amid chaos, questioning inherited beliefs, and seeking direct experience of the divine rather than blind faith. We can practice discernment, embracing teachings that resonate with our inner truth, and letting go of those that keep us bound. Moreover, this ancient text challenges us to expand our understanding of Scripture and spirituality. It encourages us to explore beyond the mainstream narratives and be open to hidden wisdom traditions. By doing so, we honor the rich diversity of human spiritual heritage and reclaim knowledge deliberately hidden from us. Ultimately, the Lost Book of Adam and Eve calls us to remember who we truly are. Divine beings temporarily veiled in flesh, capable of awakening and returning to the light. This is a call to reclaim sovereignty over our consciousness and our destiny. Will humanity answer this call? The choice lies with each of us. Many may remain asleep, caught in the illusions of the material world, but those who awaken will become beacons of light, helping to heal and elevate the collective consciousness. In the end, the story of Adam and Eve is not just an ancient myth but a living truth, a map for the soul's journey home. It reminds us that exile is not defeat, but a challenge to rise, remember, and evolve. The opportunity is now. The Lost Book of Adam and Eve is a reminder that the key to paradise lies within us, waiting to be discovered through courage, wisdom, and love. It beckons us to wake from the dream of separation, to break free from the prison of illusion, and to reclaim the divine heritage that has always been ours.